I listened to a podcast the other day with a gentleman called Rob Henderson. And Rob Henderson had written a book about his life in foster care and adoption and how that had impacted his life. And one of the things that Rob Henderson is most famous for is something that's been coined as luxury beliefs. They're beliefs that are held by people in the upper classes of society that are used to denote kind of status and position in society. And they include things like the abolition of marriage, polyamory. They include things like defunding the police. They also include things like legalizing drugs, those sort of things, the kind of things that most number of people would kind of shy away from. And they're held because rather than luxury items now being the status symbol, because let's face it, every man and his dog almost has an expensive smartphone, drives a car. As a society, we're considerably wealthier than we were 100 years ago. These beliefs denote and confer status. They are seen as luxury beliefs because by believing them or holding to those beliefs, you're seen as having a higher status. And you might think, well, that's an interesting thing, Ray, but what has that got to do with me? Well, in our chapter today, in our chapter of the Bible that I was reading today, I was reading 2 Chronicles 17, I believe. We're reading about King Jehoshaphat, son of Abijah, and he's described as someone who sought the Lord of his father, walked in his commandments, did not follow the Baals or the ways of Israel. And he's described effectively as being a good king. And it got me thinking about how Jehoshaphat runs contrary to what we read around him and the things that we see around him, and how we as the people of God, in a sense, need to be echoing what we read in Jehoshaphat. And as I was thinking about Jehoshaphat, I was reminded of the words of Paul in Romans 12, where he writes, "Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you might discern the will of God, the good, perfect, and acceptable will of God." And we are called, as the people of God, to do things differently, to live different lives. The problem with luxury beliefs is that because people strive for status, they start to hold those positions. And those positions become kind of the norm. And I think we need to be careful as the people of God that we understand that actually they don't serve anybody. They don't serve the people of God. They don't serve the world. The only things that truly serve the world are the teachings of Jesus. And it's through him our world is going to be transformed, not because someone at an Ivy League university has decided that they know best. Amen.